Good morning, YouTube. Okay, I want to share this article on Financial Sense Online. It's by William Engdahl, January 23, 2008, entitled The Financial Tsunami Part 3. Okay, it's a 6,500 word editorial. I'm just going to read a couple pages from it. The long-term Greenspan agenda. 7 years of Volcker monetary shock therapy had ignited a payment crisis across the third world. Billions of dollars in recycled petrodollar debts loaned by major New York and London banks to finance oil imports after the oil price rises of the 70s suddenly became non-payable. The stage was now set for the next phase in the Rockefeller financial deregulation agenda. It was to come in the form of a revolution in the very nature of what would be considered money, the Greenspan New Finance Revolution. Many analysts in the Greenspan era focus on the wrong facet of his role and assume he was primarily a public servant who made mistakes, but in the end always saved the day and the nation's economy and banks through extraordinary feats of financial crisis management, winning the appellation Maestro. Maestro serves the money trust. Alan Greenspan, as every chairman of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, was carefully picked institutionally loyal servant of the actual owners of the Federal Reserve, the network of private banks, insurance companies, investment banks which created the Fed and rushed it through in an almost empty Congress the day before Christmas recess in December 1913. In Lewis versus United States, the United States Courts of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit stated that the Federal Reserve banks are not federal instrumentalities but are independent, privately owned, and locally controlled corporations. Greenspan's entire tenure as Fed chairman was dedicated to advancing the interests of American world financial domination in a nation whose national economic base was largely destroyed in the years following 1971. And I note here 1971 was the year that the lower 48 of the United States peaked in oil production. That's correct. After that, the Alaskan pipeline came up, so then we got to the North Slope. Okay, Greenspan knew who buttered his bread and loyally served what the U.S. Congress in 1913 termed the money trust, a cabal of financial leaders abusing their public trust to consolidate control over many industries. Interestingly, many of the financial actors behind the 1913 creation of the Federal Reserve are pivotal in today's scrutinization revolution, including Citibank and the J.P. Morgan. Both have share ownership of the key New York Federal Reserve Bank, the heart of the system. Another little-known shareholder of the New York Fed is the Depository Trust Company, DTC, the largest central securities depository in the world. Based in New York, the DTC custodies more than 2.5 million U.S. and non-U.S. equity, corporate, and municipal debt security issues from over 100 countries valued at over $36 trillion. I want to note here, consider this very carefully. This is like 3 times the amount of currency in circulation in the United States. which I think the last time I checked was like 12 trillion. Oh, that's the US dollars in circulation. That's like 4 times our national debt and about 60% of all future obligations and present debt. Okay. And it's also about 50% larger than all holdings of the New York Stock Exchange. So the DTC is in fact larger than, something like 2,000 corporations that trade on the New York Stock Exchange. It and its affiliates handle over 1.5 quadrillion of security transactions last year. I guess a quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. Wow. No. I don't even know what a quadrillion is. I have no idea what a quadrillion is. That's not bad for a company that most people never heard of. The Depository Trust Company has a sole monopoly on such business in the USA. They simply bought up all other contenders. It suggests part of the reason New York was able for so long to dominate global financial markets, long after the American economy had become largely a hollowed-out post-industrial wasteland. Okay, so these are things to consider. I would highly recommend reading the entire article. Like I said, it's about 6,500 pages long. I just read the first page of what is a 14-page document when I convert it to Word. Okay, people, it's go time. Your securities, your IRAs, your retirement funds, they're all in great peril. Good luck out there. Not looking forward to S-1959 passing the Senate, but it probably will, since it flew through the House with no problem. It sounds like an extremely spooky bill. I don't even know what to say about that. I guess I just have to trade in my brain right now, get it repackaged to never criticize anything anymore, because intellectual criticism can now be considered